Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. So it's been an interesting day in the market, right? So in this video, we're going to do kind of like a market recap, right? So starting with Tesla. Tesla closed at 425.85 after making, let's say, a high today of 440.97, coming off of that high down to the 423 low, which is interesting. Y'all know I said often that Tesla does what Tesla does. And again, looking at this 30-minute chart, we see that Tesla came down to this area that we kind of knew we could possibly have trouble at, that 425.39. What was interesting is this area here at the 428.60. We kind of knew that was a support area. Once we broke under that, I knew we were kind of like in a little situation with Tesla. So, I did see a couple. I'm going to go to the 5-minute chart just for a minute. And let's see if we can zoom out just a little bit. So I did see a few flags. So when I marked that little line there, that's exactly what it means for me, that, I've seen some bear flags, and I had originally a 428 target for Tesla coming off of this 440.97, and we extended that, as Tesla normally does, down to that 423. And so if you traded Tesla today, especially coming off of this high of 440.97 down to here, y'all see we came down to an area that I love to see this, right? We came down to an area that I knew we could possibly have trouble. Look where price is here, right? So we broke out of that area only to come back down to this here, and we found support there. Once we found our support there, we bounced and went back to the upside only to have trouble right there at that place again, y'all. That's why it's so important that, we mark our support and our resistance, because basically that is what it's simple support and resistance, right? So we tried to go back up again here at this. Let me see where that is here. At 436.11, we got rejected right there, kind of close there, only to come back down. Tried to make that attempt again on this 5-minute chart. We tried to attempt that one more time, only to get rejected. But look what happened here around that about 130-ish type. Well, Tesla did what it was a nice little decline there. I like to see those. So if you got in Tesla, let's say around here, and this, especially after it broke this area here. Why? Because that was a support place for us. And guess what? We couldn't hold that. Once we broke out of that, that would have been a nice trade to the downside. And y'all, look what our MACD, it kind of gave us confirmation. I like to see that MACD crossing. There was a confirmation here. There was a MACD crossing here. That is my confirmation I like to see. 5 and 50. It separated. Well, there was the crossing here. We tried to go up only to come back down. So yeah, this was a really nice trade if you were able to withstand this time frame here from here to here, only to give you that it possibly can go back up. Had some trouble, came back down, went to the sideways a little bit, tried to recover just a little bit. But y'all see at the end of the day, Tesla normally is going to have a decent move up or a nice move down. And today it chose that downside. So y'all, what I like to see is we're back at this area that we kind of knew. Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger. No, that did not help, right? So we're kind of back at this area that we knew we could possibly have trouble. So that 425.39 area is the area that I have marked. So I'm watching that tomorrow with Tesla, making sure, to see if we're going to open above that or below that. That will be interesting for me, right? So we are now looking at the SPY, and I said, I know my charts are very congested, but it works for me. Why? Because I kind of know where I can possibly have trouble. And the SPY showed us today, and I think I said that in pre-market video, the SPY was setting us up for something because of this sideways movement here. Either we're going to break through this and continue up, or we're going to have a nice move to the downside. And today the direction was to the downside because we closed at the 663.21. We made a high today of 667.34. But y'all see again at this this is the 30-minute chart. we start just declining from 667.34 all the way down to, let me see, I love to see that. You see, price came to this area. We knew we could possibly have trouble, 662.03. We found support there towards the end of the day. We had a little reversal candle here on this 30-minute chart that kind of took us back to the upside, and we had a little trouble at that 200 EMA again on this 30-minute chart. So if you traded the SPY today, the downside move would have been really good. That 5 and 50 crossing here on this 30-minute chart, that was a good indication that we were continuing to the downside after again making lower lows here. So let's go to that 5-minute chart just to see what can we learn from the market today. So I marked this level, this area here, just to see. We had a little bit of sideways movement at the beginning, and then we start just making lower lows. We were declining. So I kind of made my little, chart, my paragraph, whatever that, I put some lines here, right? So I put this here just to show me that we're going down, we're making lower lows. So once we broke out of that, we still came to the downside. Well, guess what? We found some support here. As with Tesla, it tried to go up, but we could not get back above that 665.85 area, being that we did not break above that. Our MACD is still giving us a signal to the downside, that crossing and then that separation. I like to see it if I'm trading it to the downside. So, if you bought off of this rejection here to the downside for the SPY, that would have been a nice move. Or if you would have waited here until, this right here could have been another confirmation. We've broken past this area here. So we could very well continue declining. So entering it, around this 664.55 down to this 662.40 area could have been a decent move depending on what you're trading, how you're trading, right? So again, it went sideways. But what's interesting, y'all, is the levels that we have marked. We kind of knew that we could have this trouble here at the 662.40 and again here at the 662.68 area. And y'all see it right here. We knew we could possibly, I say that often, have trouble at that 663.41. So that was interesting. So if you traded the SPY today, congratulations, because that would have been a very nice trade from, the high of that 667 down to, let's see where that low is today, 661.98. That would have been a really nice trade. So again, I said congratulations if that was one of your trades today. Carnival Cruise Line was in a inside day candle. I kind of like to go back and look at those just to see if they reached the target or if the target was met. And today CCL did not reach that downside target, as the inside for the inside day candle. We did close at the $30.71, only making a 31.67 high, or 31.57. Yes, 31.67 high today. So what's interesting is, looks like we're just everything looks different as far as to the upside. It looks a little different. So tomorrow could very well be a very interesting day. Microsoft was also an inside day candle for today, and we reached that target. Y'all see, this was the target that we had here at the 510.30, and we have definitely reached that to the downside. We closed at 509.23. Again, everything was giving us signal. If you were able to get inputs today, you would have made a decent profit, because if we had some signals, even with that right here at the open, that declined to the downside, and y'all see it found support here at that 510.30, tried to bounce to the upside, only to come back down. So yeah, Microsoft reached its target today. Let's look at Netflix just to see if we reach that. Netflix is interesting. To me, it just does. It trades like Tesla in so many ways. It just does what it does, right? So Netflix high today was 1227.79, and we closed at 1218.47. What's interesting is, looking at this 5-minute chart, it gave us a signal here that we were trading to the downside. I like to see that 5 and 50, which is the light blue, and the white line here cross. My MACD separated here, so entering this to the downside, this would have been my entry point here around this area. So back to the downside, if I would have traded this down, that would have been a nice trade for Netflix. And it seems as if we found support right here at this level of 12.21, which is a level that we have marked here. We kind of knew we could possibly, let me say that, have trouble in that area, and it seemed like we bounced from there only to come back to this area here, which is our ORB low. That's the opening range breakout. My charts, it generates the first 15 minutes of the day. The green line here is the high, the red line here is the low. So that's kind of support. It gives us a support and resistance for, that particular stock for the day, like a range, right? So as of, soon as Netflix got rejected in this area, it kind of came back to the downside, only to come back to this area, 12-1402, as a support, tried to go back to the upside to get rejected, that Fibonacci retracement area here, and back to, it seems like it's going back to the downside. What's interesting, it's kind of like trading sideways as of now. So if you're trading Netflix, it will be interesting to watch, right? So definitely, I will be, concerned if it should open under that 12-1261 area, or somewhere around this area here, 12-10-09. I will be watching Netflix in that area. Again, not financial advice, y'all. Let's see how Nvidia did today. Nvidia, we closed at 178.43, and to me it kind of looks like the SPY. Let's go to the 30-minute chart just to see if we can get a different view for Nvidia for today. That was the first 9:30 candle here, which is interesting, right? It started out with the long red candle for Nvidia that, we came down, tried to bounce back up, got rejected at the 5 EMA on this 30-minute chart, only to come back down. This is one of those places of riding the 5 to the downside, because puts is definitely where the profit would have been made today. So Nvidia came down. It seems like we found support at this 200 EMA, which is right here, let's say at the 178.03, and it seems like we kind of like traded sideways, or what I like to say, that gathering spot, right? We traded, in that gathering spot. So let's see if we can make that. I do that often. So yeah, there we are. We traded kind of like sideways for Nvidia here at towards the end of the day. If you were able to, the high of this candle here is 178.92. The low is 176.21. If you are a scalper, you could have very well gotten in at that place, in and out. Now, this is again back at the 5-minute chart, and these lines just tell me, y'all, I just block them out. I try to see past that because they kind of help me to see where I could possibly have trouble. I say that often, right? So again, Nvidia gave us, let's see where that signal is here. We came up down here 5 and 50, no, the MACD right here is what I like to see. There's a crossing that I kind of look for this, but I don't like to trade this sideways movement because it's not a clear signal for me. So I try to, be careful in this area here. So trying to get it back to the downside, I would have been waiting to see if it's going to make a new low from this area here. And when we got back to that here, I know we possibly could have some trouble for Nvidia, and especially, if we make a low from here, which was around, let's say about 10 this morning. Once we got past this level here, I know we possibly could have some trouble, and it's okay to trade it to the downside. I want to have a clear signal, from my charts when I'm entering the trade. I need a very clear signal. So Nvidia was interesting. If you were able to, get in off of this here down to the downside, I don't like that gathering spot area. I don't like to trade that. I would have possibly entered here once, somewhere around here. I would have scalped, as I noticed that we were making lower lows, possibly take a scalp in that area, then come down. It came down, found support. It's just not, it's not what I like to see. But again, if you are a scalper and you find an entryway to get in and make some quick moves, right here is when the MACD crosses. We could have entered as it went up and made some higher highs here, possibly. But is it going to be a big, strong move, a very profitable move for, that's something that I think about when I am, making my entries or about to trade or want to take that trade. Is it going to be, or could it be a profitable move for me? Does it meet my setup? Does my 5 and 50 cross? Is my MACD crossing? Is it making higher highs? Did it find support? Am I buying off of resistance? Am I buying at support? These are things that I ask myself throughout the day. So y'all, this is, it's been an interesting day in the market. And a lot of times I like to go back and just review and see, some of the things, or I try to definitely learn from my mistakes, some of the things that, I did do or what I didn't do. And I go back and can examine that every single day. And the more you study, the more you repeat the pattern, and the more you do that, the helpful it will be for your trading journey. So y'all, again, I hope that everyone had a very profitable day today. It looks as if puts were definitely in order for today for many of our positions, y'all. So I am super excited. So again, y'all, I hope that everyone had a profitable day. If you could please like, share, subscribe, y'all. We learn and we grow together. I hope that everyone have an awesome day today. So until next time, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.